And welcome again. Thanks for joining again for today for this skills workshop on career discovery and self-development. And, I wanted to start by sharing that this is a topic that really excites me and that I feel really passionate about. So unlike yesterday's presentation that, sort of wrote itself because we're talking about what we're doing at RePicture, and that's what we've been thinking and breathing for the last, many years that we've been working on RePicture. Today was like excruciatingly hard for me to put together this presentation. I stared at my computer for hours um, and spun my wheels because I really wanted to present you some tools, and there's just so many that I've personally used and gotten a lot out of. So it was choosing what to share with you and then how to present it. It was just really hard. So I hope you get something out of today. And the tools that I whittled it down to, I think are really, really valuable. And I think can help you, even if we don't have a whole lot of time to talk about, where they're from, where they came from, and that sort of thing today. We don't have a ton of time, but yeah, so I'm really excited. So I want to start out by sharing with you a quote, and it goes like this: writing out your plan for life is like driving at night in the fog. You can only see as far as your headlights, but you can make the whole trip that way. So what we're doing at RePicture is we want to help equip your car and make you a better driver so that you can make that next step, take that next step in your education or your career as intentionally and with as much awareness and clarity as you can. And that's really awareness and clarity about yourself, about what's out there, about what you should even be looking for. We want to help you surface those signals from the noise, all the noise out there. And we want to help curate the very roads that appear in front of you. Well, you might ask, how is self-development going to make me a better driver and shape the roads that appear in front of me? What does self-development have to do with career discovery? Well, we don't talk a lot about self-development much in our education and in our lives, really. Some of us do, but it's not super common, and I don't know why, because I really think of it having been sort of dragged into self-development and then getting a lot of benefit for myself. I don't know why. I think it's critical to our success. There's many definitions, and I really like this one. It's a lifelong process which enables you to assess your abilities, to set goals, and then take action to help you achieve those goals and to maximize your potential. The way I think of self-development is it's that thing that can take you from 1x to 10x and will help you trade in your old car for a rocket ship. I also think of self-development as the things you do to intentionally uncover your blind spots. And those blind spots could be about yourself, your skills, your value, what you're good at, what's out there. And this also includes overcoming belief systems that you don't even realize are holding you back. Some really common ones are, that's not possible. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. I could never do X. I don't belong. I'm not enough. We all have some faulty and disempowering machinery running in the background to some extent. And for career discovery, how can you be open to the possibilities all around you when you've got those faulty systems running in the background that are limiting you? And how can you know if an opportunity is right for you if you don't know yourself and what you want and what you're capable of? In order to find your best path, you have to be able to look within and understand yourself first. Now, has anyone heard of the concept of Ikigai? Ikigai translates into something like a reason for being. And it's a Japanese concept referring to having a direction or purpose in your life. So this image is actually a translation of this concept. It often, when you look up Ikigai on anywhere on Google, you'll find this image everywhere. It's actually a translation by someone just a couple of decades ago made this. And it shows visually what we're all aiming for, which is that sweet spot where what you love meets what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can get paid for. We already have what the world needs and what you can get paid for checked off in this course, of course, since we're focusing on STEM careers. So let's start looking within. Let's look at what you like and what you're good at. So today, like I said, we're mostly going to be doing some exercises, going over some tools. And with that, we'll be doing a lot of exercises. So right now, I want you to take a couple of minutes to write down as many things you can think of that you like doing, and as many things you can think of that you're good at. We'll first spend a couple of minutes on what you like doing, and then I'll let you know when you should switch to thinking about and listing out things you think you're good at. And it could be anything. It could be anything related to work, your hobbies, your family, your friends, anything at all. So with that, I'm going to set a timer for 2 minutes, and then I'll tell you when to switch. Okay, everyone, I hope you all got something out of that. And feel free to share in the chat what you come up with. I would really love to see what has opened up for you. And you always have to keep doing this over and over. As we talked about yesterday, you should always be thinking about what you like, and you should always also be figuring out what you are good at. And of course, you can grow and learn and more and increase those skills that you have. So these can change over time. And as we discussed yesterday as well, passions are often developed, not discovered. So since we talked about branding last week and how to present yourself online, and we worked on telling our stories, today I want to talk about those parts of your story we typically leave out of our resumes. You'll never see a resume that says, I was born in privilege, but I never felt like I deserved any of it. Or I grew up with nothing and my family struggled to get by. I'm studying to get a really good degree, but I'm really not sure if I have what it takes to succeed. Or I've been a high achiever all my life, going above and beyond, doing every extracurricular activity imaginable. I graduated from a top university, and now that I've started my first job, I'm really not sure if this is what I want to do. On a resume, you'll never see the people that helped you along the way, or the mistakes you made and learned from, or the things you're not sure about, or the questions you have. When you look at self-development and you want to get those breakthroughs that will allow you to achieve more and do things better and find what you feel passionate about and get that sense of satisfaction in what you're doing, those are the really important parts of your story. So today, like I said, I'm going to share with you some tools I've found useful and helpful for myself. And hopefully they're ones that you can pick up really anytime and try them. We'll do a couple today, and they're really easy to do, and they don't need much of an introduction for them to be useful and valuable. Now, this first tool I want to share today might seem very similar to what we did last week, and it's really not. It's really totally different. What I'm talking about here, when I say write out your whole story, is it's the whole story that you might not include all of on your online RePicture profile. Writing this story will actually take you some time because you would start from the very beginning and include every possible detail of your life that is important to you and all those things about you that you don't typically show on your resume. Were you a middle child or a single child, and how did that shape you? What are your biggest fears and challenges, and where did they come from? Who has had the biggest impact on your life, and how have they helped make you who you are today? So actually, we don't have enough time in this workshop to give this question justice here, but I highly recommend you do it. And if you want more inspiration to get started, then you can listen to this podcast that I'll drop a link for in the chat right now. And you'll see why, hopefully, that I chose this as the number one tool to share with you today because I think it's really powerful. Stories are really powerful. And if you do this exercise, you might find some surprising things when you start digging a little deeper past the surface of your story. That story that you typically tell the world. And sometimes you can find the sources of passions you develop later in life. My example of that is I'm really passionate about helping you find the value that you can offer in the world and to helping you match that with a job and a career that you'll be happy doing. And it only just occurred to me now that the reason for that is that my dad never found that career that he found, that he felt passionate or satisfied with. And when you do this exercise, really think about the people that you care about the most. And I think you can often find your passions in the people you care most deeply about and the ways that you want to help them. And also, when you do this exercise, think about how you tell your story. You may not realize it, but you get to choose how to tell your story. And how you choose to tell your story literally creates your life. Just as important as writing your story down is noticing what your stories are. What is the meaning you derived from that event in your life? And if that story is not working for you, you can try to reframe it and tell it in a different way that's more empowering. But we are going to do a quick exercise around this topic. And I want you to take 5 minutes and answer these questions for yourself honestly. No one is going to judge you. These will not show up on your resume. We're not asking you to put them on your LinkedIn profile, and you don't have to worry about what other people will think. And I won't also ask you to share them. Um, what what are your biggest fears, and where do you think they come from? What scares you the most when you think about your future? Second, what are your biggest career questions that you think might make you look bad or might mess up all the work you've been doing? What are the things you most need to work on and that you want to hide and not show on your resume? So I'm going to give you 5 minutes because I think these are some really juicy questions, and I hope you give them some real thought. So I'll see you back here in 5 minutes. I'll set a timer and see you back here in 5 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes. I really hope that you were able to, things came up for you around that. And if you ended up having a lot of questions or you're suddenly in touch with how unsure you are about things, I want you to know that from the perspective of self-development, that's a great place to be. Lean into those questions you have, into those things you're not sure about, into your fears, because that is actually your opportunity for the biggest growth that you can have. Self-development is all about confronting your biggest fears and the things you most not don't want to look at. So with that, we're going to go right on to the next tool that I wanted to share with you. And that is, how do you know, or to know what motivates you? In order to get clear about what you want, to assess your options, and to know what direction you want to take, it's really helpful to know what you're motivated by. It's a lens through which you can look at opportunities and see if they align with you. And it can also help you know if the path you're on is leading you where you want to go. Introspection is an important part of deciding what career is right for you. So now we're going to do another activity. And in a few minutes here, think about what motivates you. Are you motivated by your family, your friends, personal growth, competition? It could even be something as simple as food. Try to come up with at least 10. And I think you can come up with a lot more than that. And then you can reflect on the list you made earlier of what you like and what you're good at for this activity as well. If you'd like, you can, I meant to mention that before as well, you can turn your camera off if you feel more comfortable while doing these exercises. And also feel free to share, what you get out of it in the chat. So I'll set a timer now, and we'll just take a few minutes to think about what motivates you. All right. So hope you have a nice long list now. Now we're going to look at this chart. And this chart shows you 13 human motivations. And it represents the range of motivations that we typically have. And I'm also going to share a link to this chart in the chat because it's kind of small writing and you might have a hard time seeing all the 13 motivators here and the descriptions for each. But they include affiliation, altruism, autonomy, financial gain, intellectual challenge, lifestyle, managing people, positioning, power and influence, prestige, recognition, security, and variety. And I want you to look at this list and see if you can find trends in your own list. Do many of the motivators you came up with fit into one of more of these categories? You can be motivated to some degree by everything on this list, but it's really helpful to identify your strongest motivations. So pick from this list, take a look at the list, read it, read through it, and pick which you think are your top 3 motivators. And I'll give you 5 minutes to do that. And by the way, your top 3 motivators can change. So this is really about where you are today. Okay, great. Well, thanks. I hope you all found or identified your top 3 motivators. And if you didn't now, you can think about it. You can always take that list with you and think about it. And like I said, they can change over time. And also thanks everyone for sharing the motivators that you came up with in the chat. So now I want to do another activity. And this one will just take a minute to think about. But I want you to, in the context of what your motivators are, think about what purpose motivation has in your life and your career. What does motivation do for you? How does it help you? How does it shape what you do and how you do it? How might you look at a job opportunity or potential career path differently, knowing what your top 3 motivators are? And last, what can you look for in a job or career that can fulfill these motivators? So I'm going to put these questions in the chat, and we'll just take a minute here to think about them. But I did have one last activity that I want to get to. So, take these with you and think about them for yourself. And I'll just give you a minute now to think about it. Great. So as I mentioned, the questions are in the chat, and I really recommend you take some time to think about how your motivators can help you in your career discovery. So the last tool that I want to share with you today, it's probably the one I'm most excited about, and that's to always be writing your future. This ties back to knowing what you want And I think you'll find it's a magical tool because just by thinking about what you want, it automatically gets your gears turning in that direction without you even thinking about it. So I want to dive again right into the activity. And in this activity, I want you to write down your future in explicit detail. Where do you want to be in 10 years? And this is not where you think you can get to. This is more your wildest dreams future. In this activity, please don't limit yourself to what's realistic or practical. And if you want your own private island, say so. Be as explicit as you can. You know, I live on this street in this town. I have this many children. I have, I travel the world, um, 5 times a year. I have a second home in wherever. Really detail out what your wildest dreams future will be in 10 years. And we'll just do this for a couple of minutes today. But I encourage you again, like the other exercise, to take it further after we get off our call today. So, like I said, I hope you do more with that exercise. You really need not only 3 minutes, but 10 minutes or 20 minutes. I mean, you should write out your future and always be writing your future. Always be thinking about where you want to be in a year or 3 years. Um, oh, and with this, think about, what surprised you or motivated or about what you envisioned for yourself. And did you find yourself, stopping or limiting yourself at any point? Um, did you have to say, oh no, I can do more than that? Those are the places you want to, kind of constantly be revising what your future is. So some other tools and practices for self-development that I wanted to share, and we're just about done. Build that support system for growth. Get mentors, get people that can help open your mind. Number 2, get outside your comfort zone as much as possible. Apply to stuff you're not qualified for, that you don't know now how to do, but that you can learn. Do something opposite. If you're an artist, take a math class. If you're an engineer, take a creative writing class or play music. This can really open you up in ways that you wouldn't have otherwise. And importantly, turn off your brain and play. More and more research shows that play is incredibly important for us. And it's no coincidence that many important scientific breakthroughs and discoveries have been made when people were not actually working. And we're learning more about play even from young age. Kids learn better when they've had the chance to play. Some additional resources and activities. I recommend reading Growth Mindset by Carol Dweck, Think Again by Adam Grant. There's a personality test, which I'll drop a link for in the chat, which I think can give you a lot of insights about yourself. It's really well designed, and Adam Grant, who wrote Think Again, was part of creating that. And he's an expert in workplaces and just has a lot of insights in terms of career development. Some optional assignments and activities. Ask 3 friends, family, or colleagues what they think you like to do and what you're good at, and write those down in a journal. That can be incredibly valuable feedback, and they can help you see things that you don't see for yourself. Second, journal, tell your story in explicit detail, the first tool we talked about today, and listen to that podcast that I shared with you. And 3, keep writing your story of where you want to be in 10 years. Always be writing your future and what you truly want it to be, not what you think you can achieve, but what you truly want. And that will help you get in touch with what you want and help you get there. So I hope that was really valuable. And Jerry has one announcement, and then I think that'll wrap it up for today.
Hi, everyone. I sent a Google form in the GroupMe, and I posted an announcement on the Google Classroom. I'm also going to put it in the chat, but I'm encouraging everyone to vote on questions that we will ask panelists for next week. And we're also looking for student volunteers who would like to ask panelists the final questions. You all will get to see some of your peers ask questions on Tuesday, and I will be moderating the panel. So you get to work with me if you want. Yeah, so please, if you can, vote on questions by Wednesday evening. But other than that, you can really just you can keep voting, or also pose your own questions as well if you see something is not covered within the, I think, about 8 questions that that you can pick from. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks again, everyone, for coming today. I really hope you all got something out of today, and also I'd love to hear what you think and what you got out of it if you feel like sharing. So great. We'll see you all tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.